Hi, I'm Cinda. I want to share a story with you, actually, multiple stories with you around the concept of grace. So I started to feel the presence of this gorgeous, beautiful energy a few years ago. And I wasn't quite sure what it was or what it was about. So in meditation one day, I got really quiet and I met my guardian angel. And she introduced herself to me as Grace. And I left that meditation going, well, that's a beautiful name for a guardian angel. And then the very next day, I saw Grace everywhere. The name, it was just on signs, it was on stationery, it was on television. I would open up social media and the first person in the message stream and the posts, my thread, whatever was, her name would be Grace. And I knew, because the universe communicates with me via signs, that I was receiving validation that my guardian angel's name was Grace. So when I started to talk to her or talk out loud about her, I would hear a grumbly little message, a voice on the other side that said, "And Oscar." So I knew that Grace and Oscar were my two guardian angels. Okay, so then that was, gosh, many years ago, it seems like. And then 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I'm a big fan of Anthony Williams. Anthony Williams is the medical medium, and he talks about using or listening to what he calls spirit in order to create this movement of healing via nutrition, via whole foods provided from nature. He receives his messages from the entity he calls compassion. And so that made me question if compassion is an actual entity, he says, that actually talks to him from the outside, actually has a voice, that compassion, then that means isn't a way of feeling or being in the world. It is an actual entity. So I began to question what other ways of being and feeling out there, like compassion, is an actual entity. So if Anthony Williams can tap into the energy and power and essence of compassion to heal us, that means we have the ability to tap into compassion as well to heal us, to actually utilize the entity's energy to heal us. So what else is out there? What else is? And I clearly heard Grace. So I sat with that and I began to question, Grace, are you not just my guardian angel, but are you an entity? Are you an energy? Are you a being that we can work with? And I didn't hear any answers right away, but I had a knowing that the answer was yes. I mean, so deep inside me. So I went on a journey of finding all I could, learning all I could about grace. And everywhere I searched, it was grace with a lowercase g, not a capital G. So I have a very dear friend named Jack Armstrong. He is the author of many books stemming from the lessons of Source. He has been channeling messages from what he refers to as Source for 40 years. I don't know. So I called him and I said, Jack, can you do a search in your database for the word grace? Because surely this entity, this being that I am experiencing to be grace will show up in his readings. And he sent me a message and said, no. How strange. Grace does not present herself in any of my messages. So then I have a very dear mentor, friend of mine who is a beautiful teacher, Sharon Raji Maynard, and I talked to her and I asked her to check into her galactic team and find out about grace. Because she too had begun to feel and sense the presence of grace. And she was told that the grace in which Senda seeks has not been seen or felt on this planet before. So it occurred to me that I might be onto something, whatever that means. So a couple years ago, my beautiful golden retriever, Maggie, became deathly ill. And I decided or tried or attempted to do a healing ritual around her. She was laying in her dog bed. And I surrounded her with angels. I was in that circle of angels. And as I looked at this circle of angels, I recognized that they were all me. Different versions of me throughout different lives that I had lived. Some I knew very intimately and others were fairly new, but it didn't matter. I knew it was a circle of me, of we. And then my mind wandered as it does. And I thought, I wonder if I can call grace into the center of this circle of me, we, and if I could use that as a portal, an invitation to heal Maggie. So I closed my eyes and I presented this sacred space as an opportunity for grace to show herself. And then what happened is I saw a triangle. And it floated down just like this, right over the top of Maggie. The points of each of the triangle connecting to the circle of me, we. The angels and the triangle in the middle, and Maggie in the center. And I was curious as to what this meant. I don't know a lot about sacred geometry, but I know enough. And so I began to ask myself, well, all right, what does the sacred Trinity mean to you? I mean, it was obviously very sacred. And the first thing that came to mind was the most sacred Trinity within the Christian faith, which is Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And that rung true to me, that was what that triangle represented. But what was interesting to me is that it didn't come down like this, with Father on top. It was like this. It was completely flat. So what that told me is that I was being shown that all were equal. Father, Son, and Holy Ghost were equal. And not just to each other, but to the circle of we surrounding it. And so if I considered Father to be God, and I considered Son to be Jesus, and I was asking and trying to create a portal for the entity of grace to enter, and this is what came. I wondered if the Holy Ghost wasn't grace, and therefore equal or not different from Jesus and God, which then suggested that grace was daughter, if we want to use terms like that, Father, Son, and daughter. Father, brother, sister. That the Holy Ghost was in fact the divine feminine, where Jesus represents the divine masculine. And in that moment, that was true. In the moment, and since then, that has been my truth. I was convinced, felt, experienced, no. We have been feeling for a very, very long time that the divine feminine is rising, that her time is coming. And it occurred to me that grace is that divine feminine. And then it went one step further. In Christian religion, there is the coming of the second Messiah. And Christians believe that Jesus will walk among us again. But in this vision that I was given, the coming of the second Messiah is not Jesus, but is grace. The divine feminine, equal to the divine masculine, equal to Source and God. So I have been searching, wondering when, where, what, and how will grace present herself. And I have the fortune of being involved in a very close group of women whom we are sharing and connecting and honoring the energy of grace. I have created a ritual of healing around the energy of grace in hopes that we who walk on this earth can experience and bring in this divine feminine energy. And because of that, because of the healing ritual that I've been doing with people, and because of this group of very divine women that I am working with, I am learning that grace is in each of us. That she is not an individual energy that will be walking around us and among us, but that she is within us. And she represents the divine power of light and divine love and divine purpose and divine healing that this planet needs. And it comes and emanates and is shared from every single one of us that opens up to her and says, I am here, let me be of service, let me bring you out into the world. And that is how I have been working with her. That is how she has shown herself to me. It is how she is showing herself to others. I've become a very good friend with a peer of mine named Susan Therese. And Susan is a divine alchemist, and she creates crystal sprays and bath salts and earth salts. And through a conversation, I find out that Grace has been knocking on her door too. And so in a sitting, she came through with a channeled session with the entity of Grace. And we've made a video of that. And when I walked this group of women through the ritual where we bring Grace into her essence into us so we can share Grace's energy with the world, in that moment, Susan started to channel Grace again. My hope is that you will listen to those videos. They are divinely beautiful. So my intention with this video is to open your mind and your heart to the possibility that Grace is here. And with her comes hope and healing and the potential to take care of everything. But she can only do her work through us. And in order to work with this energy, we need to be a clear vessel. I've made an earlier video that I hope you'll search out called The Ladder of Ascension. And I talk about how it is our role to ascend up this ladder. It is our purpose in life. And but every time we take a step up, we swing on this pendulum. And our goal is to become one with Source and perhaps Grace now. And but I bring this up because in order to work with Grace, we need to be swinging on the side of the light, because this is where she hangs out. She's not swinging on the side of anger, fear, worry, frustration, anxiety. So if you are living a life right now where you are in fear and you need help and you need divine guidance and you need to feel at peace because you are so desperate, so afraid, in that moment, take a breath and ask for guidance. Ask to be shown the light. And you will swing back over into the side of light, and then Grace will hold you there within her wings. So this is what I'm working on. This is the message that I'm sharing with the world. And this is where I'm hanging out, on the side of light, of divine love, and of grace.